How's it going? It's PM Designs. So I wanted to continue my travel photography series and talk about the ideal camera, or what kind of cameras you should be looking at for travel. And you've got your basic point and shoots, you have your advanced point and shoots, and you have your mirrorless and DSLR. The mirrorless and DSLR, I'm gonna kind of just lump those together. Any interchangeable lens system. And I guess you can kind of combine your basic point and shoot with your advanced point and shoots, so we're going to have basically point and shoots versus your interchangeable lens. Whenever I go and I look at, obviously I like to, maybe not obviously, but I prefer to shoot raw. When I travel, I tend to have my cameras that are my travel cameras set to shoot raw plus JPEG. Only reason I do is a lot of times the photos I take on vacation, I'm really not going to need the ability to do all that post-processing to them. I mean, there might be a handful, so that's why I do have the ones in there as raw, but I really just want them just as capturing those memories of those places and the things and stuff like that. But in there I might have some photos that I want to use, I want to process them and print them, or process them and use them for something, so I will shoot raw files as well. The cameras that I use for actual work and stuff like that, I strictly have those set to shoot just raw, because I'm not going to be delivering that to a client or using that in an unprocessed state. So that is one thing when you're buying, if you're looking at the point and shoot cameras, that you have to look at, is that a lot of them in the mid to lower end spectrum of that aren't going to have things like the ability to shoot raw. They're not going to have a hot shoe. They're not going to have great apertures and stuff. They may not have a microphone input. So if those are features that you need, you're going to have to look toward interchangeable lens or an advanced point and shoot. The places that I do find that a point and shoot will shine, though, is you can get a camera with a really large zoom range in one lens. You can look at the Sony HX90 and HX90V and HX80. Both those are 30 times zoom cameras. It doesn't have the best, a wide aperture, so your low light performance is going to be a little lower, but you have that incredible zoom range. You have a screen you can flip up, so you can take a picture, like selfie mode kind of thing. Neither of them shoot raw, so if that's something you need. The other thing is you can get cameras that are waterproof without using an external housing. That's something, me personally, I have a Nikon point and shoot, the AW130. That's my camera. If I'm gonna go somewhere to the beach or somewhere where it's very humid or wet, even skiing, stuff like that, where you're around a lot of stuff that's wet, obviously, I'll use that camera. So you can get a lot of specific features in those cameras, but unless you start getting into the advanced point and shoot, you're probably not going to get a camera that shoots raw or has a mic in or has a hot shoe. It's hard to find a camera in that space that has everything and can do everything. But there are some benefits and there are some trade-offs. So I always, a point and shoot's a good camera. I like to have one with me when I travel, just because it's so pocketable. You go out to a nice dinner, you can put it in your coat pocket. You go somewhere where you really just don't want to carry around all this stuff, you can put it in your pocket, stick it in a little thin little pouch or a small case, stick it in your pocket. Obviously you'd have to have pockets big enough, but it's stuff that you're not carrying around this dedicated camera bag for. Now going on, we'll take a look at the mirrorless and the interchangeable lens type cameras, mirrorless DSLR, micro four thirds, all that stuff. That's where you're going to find more cameras. So you can get cameras in the point and shoot category that have mic inputs, hot shoes, great apertures, incredible zoom range, shoots raw. You can get that in that space, but to my knowledge right now, there's no camera that has everything in the point and shoot space. meaning non-interchangeable lens. Looking at the interchangeable lens cameras, you're going to start getting mic inputs, and that's going to be more of a common thing to have on a camera. Mic input, a hot shoe. Now you're not going to find one that's going to be waterproof right out of the box. You might find ones in the higher end that have weather sealing, but it's not going to be waterproof. So if you're going to take that underwater diving or to the beach or something, you're going to need to, if you're taking it to the beach, you're going to need to be extra careful with it for the sand and water and all that stuff, or leave it at the house or hotel or wherever you're staying. Now, kind of lost track of I really need to make notes for these things. Interchangeable lens systems are great because you can get specialty lenses. You can get lenses that allow you to shoot really wide open, talking, like with the Sony systems, 10 to 18 millimeter lenses, 12 to 24, stuff like that. So you can get really wide viewpoints. You can get extreme telephoto lenses. The lenses, one thing I didn't talk about with the point and shoots is the ability to use filters. On your interchangeable lens cameras, your lenses then is going to be threaded to accept filters and stuff like that. So that opens up more creative possibilities. On some of the point and shoots, you can get adapters to attach filters to it. But which opens up that whole world of creativity, things that you can do. You can darken the sky. You can keep, you can do different effects. I mean, there's just go on Amazon or B&H or Adorama or something like that and just type in, camera filters, and you can see all the different types that they offer, all the different effects that you can do. You can buy packs of filters, so you can do a whole bunch of different things. The one, I really haven't, other than like a circular polarizer and like a UV filter or something, which the only reason I use UV filters is like on my cameras that I take traveling with me, is just as a front element protection. That way if something gets splashed on it, like whatever, or if it gets bumped into something accidentally while hiking or something, I don't have to worry as much about damage to the front element, and it's not going to set back my whole trip. If I get a scratch on the filter, I'll just take it off and either throw it in my camera bag and discard it when I get back home, or if I'm somewhere where there's trash can, obviously just discard it there. Which then again, I'm maybe not, because that glass, and if it's shattered or something, or it could shatter. But it's not going to set me back and ruin my use of that camera, like the front element getting damaged. So that's really the only filter I use, is a UV filter or a clear filter. Filtering out UV is really not a thing anymore with digital sensors and stuff. It's more of a film thing. So, but going back to the diving and our water, stuff like that, one of the issues that I've found with the dive housings is a lot of times they're designed to work with a camera with the kit lens, which is basically is the basic lens. So if you didn't buy your camera as the kit and you don't have that kit lens, the only way you can use that dive housing is you're gonna have to now go out and go buy a kit lens. For the A6000, the dive housing that they make is meant to work with the 16 to 50. Now, that may not be an issue, but if you have that lens, but if you don't have that lens, that is going to present a problem to you. So that's one of those things that you have to think about. Like on mine, I sold my 16 to 50 along with the 55 to 210 in order to get the 18 to 200. And now if I wanted to throw in a dive house, I don't have that lens anymore. So that is one thing that you're gonna have to look at, is what what lens is it meant to work with, and if that's even an issue to you. Another thing to look at with your cameras is if you have an idea of how many photos that you typically shoot on a trip. You can look at the battery life, and you can decide whether or not the camera that you're looking at is going to have the battery life that you need. Am I going to need, am I going to barely scratch by with one battery? Am I going to need, 2, 3, 4? You shooting video, you shooting just stills. It's all stuff that you got to look into. Also, how does the camera charge? Can you charge the batteries in the camera so you can just have your charger for your cell phone with you and also charge your camera if you need to? To me, that's actually a huge factor. On my cameras, they all use micro USB. What I do is in my camera bags, my phone uses a USB-C connector, so I can carry a little micro USB to USB-C adapter, and I can use my camera charger to charge my phone. I can also, what I do is I carry around a little 20,000 milliamp hour battery bank, and when my camera battery starts running low, or if I need to charge a battery, my battery chargers that I've purchased also charge off of micro USB, so I can plug them into my battery bank and charge my batteries while I'm out and about. I don't need to go find a wall outlet. That's something that might be a feature that you need to look for, or that you want to look for. So really, I highly recommend that when you're looking at a camera, you make a list of the features that you want. Let's go even more in depth than that. Make a list of the features that you have to have. Things that there is no compromise, it has to have this. Then a list of features that you would like it to have, and then maybe a list of just features that lower than you would like it to have. Like if it has it, great. If it doesn't have it, whatever. It's not a big deal. But or you could let it be like, the signs. It gives extra points to that camera because it has it. Because I might use it once in a year. And go through there and figure out what you actually need. And then when you're going and looking at cameras, as you find cameras that hit the boxes that has what you want, then you can add that to your list of considerations, and eventually you'll get it to where there's this is what you want, this is what you don't want, this is what you need, stuff like that. And then you can start looking at the cameras and comparing the cameras, because you'll be looking at stuff that, okay, all these cameras are ones that would be excellent choices. Let me just see what from that list. Now you can go into other factors, size, weight, unless it was already one of your considerations. It's always good to put that in there as a consideration if that is a consideration to you. But you can go into things that you can find your ways to that you can compare the cameras to each other. Obviously image quality is a big thing, but don't just run out to the store and just see the first camera and say, hey, this one takes good pictures, and get it, because you're probably going to have some regret shortly thereafter if that's how you bought it. When you sit there and you plan it out and you compare your options, you're going to end up getting a camera that I'm happy I bought this. This was an excellent purchase, and you're not going to come away from it feeling that you bought a camera that you don't need, or you bought more camera than you needed. If you really just need a point and shoot, and you buy an interchangeable lens camera with 4 lenses, to cover all kind of different stuff, and you bought a handful of filters. I'm going to the extreme end of this, but if you bought all this equipment when really all you needed was a basic point and shoot for the kind of photography that you're doing, or the kind of photography you're going to be doing while you're on vacation, you spent all that money that you could actually have spent on vacations, or saved it, or used it for other stuff. So, and then it also becomes, when you're traveling, you have to start thinking about how much of your carry-on space, or how much, because I'm a big thing of don't put your cameras in the checked baggage. Have it as carry-on. As of right now, that's permitted. it's one of those, how much, size and weight, you don't want to be lugging around this huge amount of camera unless, you're taking photos to do all kind of work that you're publishing in magazines, and then it's less of like a leisure travel trip and it's a professional travel trip kind of thing. So, just when you're looking at cameras, don't go to, I don't recommend going there and saying, you know what, I want this camera, or once you've defined what camera you want, obviously it's, hey, I want this particular camera. But, if you go to the camera store and just say, I want a camera for traveling, you may end up walking out with something that is either ideal for the salesperson in the sense of it would be the camera that he finds useful for his photography, or it's the one that's going to make him the most money. Do your research, do your homework, go try out different cameras. If you're going to be spending some decent amount of money, look at the option of renting a camera, or renting a camera and some lenses to take on a trip with you before. That way, if you're just been using point and shoots and you're wanting to try out the DSLR, the mirrorless and stuff like that, maybe look at renting something before you make a big purchase of $1,000, $2,000, $3,000. If you're looking at getting this large setup, just always do your homework, do your research, and come away from it with the camera that works perfect for you. So thanks for watching. If you have any comments, questions, tips, whatever about travel photography and helping people select the best camera for them, just throw it in the comments section. Thanks for watching.